All right. Okay, so we left off yesterday, and that was you were actually demonstrating. We did this on purpose,
Hmm.
right? So actually demonstrating what it's like for somebody who takes their time, reads every word on every page slowly, right? Because a lot of people I've come to find have issues
Hmm.
with this book being so adamantly and highly detailed,
Mm.
right? So they say, where is all of this extra wording coming from, right?
Hmm.
And the truth is, any scholar of Hebrew writing knows that one word
Hmm.
has an entire definition. It is not just a word and
Right.
you translate that word and you pronounce that word and it's
Hmm.
just like biscuit.
Right.
When I say biscuit,
Hmm.
everybody has an idea of what a biscuit is
Hmm.
to them if you have a country that has biscuits.
Correct.
But Hebrew doesn't work like that.
Okay.
You see? So when they give you a word,
Hmm.
it's an entire explanation and a thing
Hmm.
that gets wrapped up into it.
Okay.
Okay? So I had you read, and now you have read it, and you can clearly see the details.
Yes.
You're clearly able to see the understanding,
Hmm.
right? Now, my question to anybody else is, these are not just the only instructions. There was a 7-year set of instructions that had to be followed before we got to this point today.
Mm.
So there's another set, there's a previous set. I'm just walking you through the first set of 7 years instructions as
Hmm.
you are new.
Yes.
So there's a whole 7-year process,
Hmm.
and then it repeats again,
Okay.
right? And then while I'm doing this with you, this is part of my second year, my second week, right? My first 7 years is going past. I'm on my second week. So now in my second week, I'm able to do this with you
Mm.
and we can go through it and we know where each marker is and we
Hmm.
can cross reference and we can validate. You'll be able to do that after
Hmm.
your first week.
You know what I find to be so unique is as we're reading this, as well as what we're doing
Hmm.
at this time of building and establishing the community, the timing of it all, how this correlates with what we're doing all at the same time. So it's like, okay, yeah, y'all gave you instructions
Hmm.
to establish the community. He told you exactly how it's supposed to be done. Now he's come with his word at the same time
Hmm.
to share with all of us exactly what we need to do so that we be in line doing the same thing our ancestors did. So here we're not just hearing the law, but at the same time doing the
Exactly.
law
So what happens is this works is you first take the instruction and
hmm
you're allowed to put yourself
in it.
in it and
Hmm.
scrutinize yourself. You put yourself under scrutiny,
Yes, you do.
right? And the moment while you're doing this process, the moment you start to believe that you've got it all together, I've
Hmm.
read it, I understand every word on the page, I've
Hmm.
got it. And you start scrutinizing yourself, you lose
Mm.
your way.
Wow.
You will lose your way. You'll lose your path. So when you keep scrutinizing yourself and keep refining yourself, it's easier to butt up against another person and say, come on, we can do this together.
Mm-hmm.
And no, don't do this because this is, don't, please, we don't do this. Come, we go this way
Mm-hmm.
together. And you
Yes.
begin to bond and
Mm-hmm.
build together
Mm.
as a unit.
Yes.
Not a unit based upon any type of perversion, not a unit based upon emotional bonding and relationship, but a unit based upon the preservation of the whole.
Right.
The preservation of the, so you get wealthy, I get wealthy.
It's
Right?
not individual.
It's not individual.
No.
You eat, I'm eating. We grow together. We develop together. We start looking and saying, we need to prepare this for future generations. I'm help, and we're going to prepare this whole thing. And the next generation, you have a plan. We'll have this next leg, and the next generation will take up this next leg, and you grow together.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you have to admit where you are to even begin. You cannot be of the delusion to say, well, this should start here because that's where you want to start. Everybody wants to start where they feel like it should start at.
Right.
But the truth is, everybody is lost,
Yes.
right? Everybody is lost. Everybody. Right? And I'm talking about my people. If you're not part of the Hebrew Israelites, you're not lost. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, which is doing what you're supposed to be doing and confusing them.
And someone that's watching and have been listening to us talk about establishing the community, people making their contributions, they'll say, oh, well, I need confirmation. Well, here it is. Here's your confirmation.
Right. And this is this book is irrefutable on account of I have actually done it. And the people who have begun to take the steps to actually do it, they know it is true.
Yes.
Now, everybody wants to shortcut. The magic word is, well, when is this going to happen? Guess what? Until you move, right? Nothing happens to you or for you.
Yes.
The only thing that happens is you just continue in the path of watching the destruction coming ever closer to destroy everything.
Yes.
You're seeing the destroyer coming. You see the destroyers of the world, but until you move, you're just waiting to be destroyed. There's nothing coming to save you, and the person who comes to do this, they're not coming to save you either. They only offer you the opportunity to put your hands in the work and join in.
Right. And you cannot be so focused on the idea of what you think the person is. It is a fact by my experience that Yah has chose you to do this. Based on what I have read in the law, in the prophets that said shall be, and I'm actually watching it manifest.
Yeah, well, and again, you're seeing the checklist.
Yes.
Right? So, like I said, there's 7 years of steps that had to be taken before this.
Right.
Each step, right, has to be completed, marked off, and then you move on to the next one. And now that you've seen the checklist and you've seen what the steps are, you can see how the children of Israel can miss what is supposed to be done versus what they wish to be done.
Correct.
Right? The steps, they weren't very large. They were very small, but you have to see them to perform them. And if you have an idolatrous belief system, right? Now, you can have an idolatrous belief system and there be no physical idol.
Graven images.
It's called a graven image. So this belief system, this idea in which you believe, it can lead you astray, right? The end of this, right, no matter how you slice it, there's going to be one world. Okay? Now, it's either going to be one world under the control of the Hebrew Israelites or one world absolutely destroyed by the Nephilim. Now, I know you're thinking outer space. Nephilim are not from outer space. right? Cain was a Nephilim. So the seed of Cain proceeds in its Nephilic way. Adam is not Cain's father.
Correct.
You may have a problem with it. You may not want to accept it. But when we come back around and judge the law, the case is open for judgment and we'll judge it by the law.
Yes.
Right? This is why we're starting with the law first. So we have two different races of people, man and man-like or mankind.
Mm.
It looks the same, but it's not.
Mm.
It looks similar, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So while we are proceeding and you're beginning to gain an understanding, we're going to proceed now because yesterday we dealt with the wisdom for the women that get moved by their heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we stopped because Moses told the people they had more than enough to build what they were going to build. Stop giving.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to see what happens and what was the proof that proves Moses
Mm-hmm.
is who he said he was.
Yes.
Because there has to be evidence.
Yes.
All right. So now, where are we at?
Verse 7.
36, and we're picking up from verse 7. So let's read what Moses does in verse 6 first to recap from yesterday.
Okay.
And Moshe commanded, and they made proclamation throughout the camp. So now Moses is the king. He's making the proclamation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Moses is the leader of this group. He's the king at this time. All right. And he made proclamation through the camp saying, neither man nor woman may make any more work for the holy separation, and the people ceased from bringing. So don't bring us anything else. Don't give us anything else. We have enough to finish the work. Stop. That's the first sign that Moses is righteous.
Yes.
He's not profiting for himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what we need to build.
Mm-hmm.
We build that and we grow together and we go on to the next step. There's another step.
Yes.
At that time, I will tell you what we need, and you just give at that time. I don't need to sit there and I have everything from you.
Right.
For what had been done was according to the sufficiency of all the work.
Sufficiency.
So we are trying to build self-sufficiency.
Mm.
And they did it. So they achieved the goal.
Yes. Together. Right.
So Moses asked them for what they needed to achieve this instruction that we got from the Most High to build the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
They achieved the goal. The sanctuary got built.
Mm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
A safe place for any who wanted to come to be safe and keep the law.
Mm-hmm.
You with us, it's our law, this our community. We doing things our way. We're not asking nobody for a bunch of stuff. This is ours.
Mm-hmm.
And Moshe commanded, and they made, I read that already.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it and had more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
And all the wise in heart made the tabernacle.
Mm. But you have to be wise in heart.
You have to.
Yes.
All the wise in heart made the tabernacle.
So that means
Only the wise are going to contribute. So this is your opportunity to prove your wisdom, to prove your righteousness, to prove that the spirit of prophecy is in you. So we're not saying we the prophets.
Correct.
We're saying because we are working on this and we are building this, the spirit of wisdom is in us because we're following the instruction. And the spirit of prophecy is in us because we are obeying the instruction and offering it to you. You, by your giving, by your contribution, you are proving that you are wise in heart. You are proving that the spirit of prophecy is in you.
Yes. And when it says, and all who the wise in heart, it was the men and the women.
Right.
Because what we read before,
Absolutely.
the man was wise as heart and the
the
woman. So together, all of them was able to make the tabernacle.
Right. They made the tabernacle.
Wow.
But it's not just only the tabernacle. They had the tabernacle.
The sanctuary.
They had the entirety of the sanctuary of the camp. They had the house of instruction, a school to study in.
Mm-hmm. Tabernacle of ordinance.
The tabernacle of ordinance.
Yes.
You see? And it had so they made the 10 curtains of fine linen and the hyacinth and the purple and scarlet and figured the cherubim, right? The cherubia, the angels that go on top, right? The work of the embroiderer made them. The length of one curtain is 20 and 8 cubits, and the sum of one curtain, and the measure of one was for all the curtains. So they worked diligently to make sure everything was precisely matched. And he conjoined the 5 curtains one with another, and the other 5 curtains conjoined one with another, and he made loops of hyacinth upon the edge of one curtain, and placed the conjunction in the side. So made he in the side at the place of conjunction in the other curtain. So you're listening to the actual layout and the plan, the details.
Yes.
That they were able to hear the instructions, follow the instructions, and the people perceived how it was going to work together. They engineered the project. You see? 50 loops he made in one curtain, and 50 loops he made at the place of juncture of the edge of the second curtain. The loops were arranged one over against the other, and he made 50 taches of gold and conjoined one curtain with another with the taches, and there was one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair to spread upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain, 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the breadth of one curtain. One measure for the 11 curtains, and he joined 5 curtains together corresponding with the 5 books of the law, and 6 curtains together corresponding with the 6 orders of the Mishnah. Now, the 6 orders of the Mishnah, these are 6 words from the 10 words. So you'll have orders of what conducts certain things. You have the order of damages, right? What's the damage and what's the recompense? Okay, there's an order over the land, the order of seeds.
Yes.
And, okay, this is how we plant. This is how we regulate our land so that our land constantly replenishes itself. So we have an instruction for how to live, how to farm. We have an instruction on administration, right? We have an order for all of these things. We have an order for how to clean something, how to purify something, what is good, what is abominable to us that we don't want or we don't deal with in a certain way, and what is perfect for us that we are to hold in high regards and in high standards, right? And the difference between us and anyone else is we're going by the book. We're actually going to achieve this. We're actually going to restructure it. We're actually going to reorder the people because the book gives us an instruction about how to do it, right? If you were to start reading the book today, you still have to come back and get the oral traditions and customs, which is passed down from generation to generation. Now, some people be like, oh, there's a book called the Oral Customs and Traditions. There is no book for oral customs and traditions. It's the same way as to why a family, right? The son takes after the father and the daughter takes after the mother, or these personality traits that come down, right? Why you cook the way you cook. It's passed down.
Yes.
Generation to generation. Just because the children of Israel were separated,
We lost it.
By multiple generations of captivity, it doesn't mean that it was lost all over the world. Abraham had many other sons.
Yes.
So now those sons, which are still in the land, still keep those customs and traditions. They're not Jewish in any way. Abraham fought these people. Literally.
Yes, he did.
He fought them. Abraham fought them. Isaac fought them. I'm telling you, like repeatedly, these, right? They came back. These people come from Babel. They lived in Babel. Babel is up near the Caucasus Mountains, right? The land of the Chasidi. They come from up here in the Caucasus Mountains. They always were there. This is above the Tigris and the Euphrates. This is where they come from. So they were always coming down, trying to claim more land. You know, this is ridiculous. And you keep trying to, placate. Well, maybe. Well, we don't know. Where's the proof? Listen, you know the tree by the fruit. It's been 6,000 years with these people. They never change. They keep trying to mix and mingle the bloodline, and they always getting mixing and mingling so that they could make some claim by some way. You know why they make a law that it has to be from the seed of the mother to be Jewish? Because if you do it by the seed of the father, they know they have no claim.
Right.
So they made the 50 taches. The 50 loops made one curtain, and he made 50 taches of gold and conjoined them one curtain with another with the taches, and there was one tabernacle.
Just one.
One. One. You see? So they begin, as the people join together to become one, so the tabernacle comes together and will become one.
So you cannot build the tabernacle in division.
No.
Can't be built.
Because you have to have one law. There has to be one order. There has to be one path and one way. Right? The leader of this must have knowledge, understanding, be wise of heart. He has to be the one who received the instruction from the Most High to do it. And he did his part before you.
Yes.
I send my messenger before you to guard you in the way. That's before and in front of. Meaning you were there and it happened in clear and perfect sight and clear and perfect view, whether you accepted it or not. It happened.
Right.
And before you, meaning he will complete the steps before you do. Right? So as I am building this first one community, the people who come in and help me build this community, each one of them has their own community to build.
Wow.
In the same way, this is how we are raising the nobility. Every man can become the governor of his own city with his family and then spread and take more land. When I say take, I mean buy and branch off, start again. More new people come, we send the new people over there. It's the same system.
Yes.
So as we are building, it's not just building the one, it's building the all, because then each community networks with each other. Then they have a governing body above that. They have a governing law, and then it goes up. And then that law spreads out until you have 12 kingdoms. 12 kingdoms. Then they have a super governing body.
Yes.
Right? So you have 12 kingdoms, each one being run, but there is a super governing body from the house of David in Jerusalem. But those 12 princes, they're right there. They
Right.
have their own land in Jerusalem, or they can be in their countryside. You have full freedom. They only have to appear before the Most High on festival days
Mm,
to bring whatever offering or that to bring whatever offering they're supposed to bring at that time.
right.
So in building and growing the country and building the nation,
Mm-hmm.
every man builds himself.
Self.
We'll be right back.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Okay, we're back. So every man who builds the nation builds himself, right? It's not like building your brother doesn't build you. It does.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like building your sister doesn't build you. It does.
Yes.
Because it's reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
We're building this together, and the same way I'm commanded to help you, you're commanded to help me.
Correct.
I have to get these things together. You have to get these things together. We're getting everything together, and there's a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where we at? And he joined the 5 curtains, 5 orders of the Mishnah, and he made 50 loops in the border of the curtain at the place of conjuncture, and 50 loops he made upon the border of the curtain at the place of conjuncture, and he made taches of brass to compact or to hold fast the tabernacle, that it might become one.
There it goes again.
So there's going to be a compacting
Yes.
with the community, right? There's an outer pressure pushing in
Mm-hmm.
that you may become one cohesive unit and one cohesive team.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a covering for the tabernacle of ram skins, reddened, and purple skins to protect it above. You know, the Most High, the same way this tabernacle's coming together, he talks about, I'll bring it in and I'll cover you with a cloud, the cloud of my Shekinah. So the same rules that apply to the tabernacle apply to the people.
Hmm.
And he made the boards of cedar wood standing up after their way of their plantation, 10 cubits the length of one board, and 10 cubits of a cubit the breadth of one board, and a cubit and a half the breadth of one board. Each board had 2 tenons arranged one side for the midst of the other side, and so did he for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made the boards of the tabernacle 20 boards on the side of the south wing. 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets beneath one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. For the second side of the tabernacle on the north side, he made 20 boards, and their sockets were 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets beneath one board and 2 sockets beneath another board. And to the border of the tabernacle on the west, he made 6 boards, and 2 boards made he at the corners of the tabernacle to the extremes, so that they were conjoined below, and joined together were they at their tops, to make with one ring. So he made both of them at the 2 corners. 8 boards there were, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets, and 2 sockets under one board. He made bars of cedar wood, 5 for the board of one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the second side of the tabernacle, and 5 boards for the boards of the tabernacle at the east, at the ends westward, and made the middle bar to mortise. You got mortise joints in the midst of the boards from end to end, of the tree which our father Abraham planted in Beer-Saba, praying there, that's Beersheba, praying there in the name of the word of Yahweh, the everlasting Allah. And the boards he overlaid with gold, and the rings be made of gold, as the place for the bars, and he covered the bars with gold, and he made the veil of hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen, twined, the work of the artificer, figured with cherubim, the cherubiah, the cherubims. He made it. And he made for it 4 pillars of cedar wood, and covered them with gold, and their hooks of gold, and cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made curtain for the door of the tabernacle of hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen, twined, the work of the embroiderer, and its 5 pillars, and their 5 hooks covered the capitals. Now, the capitals are the tops of the pillars,
Okay.
right? The pillar has a base and it has a capital. And their joinings with gold, and their 5 bases with brass. And Bezaleel made the ark of cedar wood, 2 cubits and a half its length, and 1 cubit and a half its breadth, and 1 cubit and a half its height. And he covered it with pure gold within and without, and made for it a crown of gold, the kaportha, round about. Now, I just said kaportha, and if you have the book, the kaportha is not written here. But what I do is, where the book teaches me a word, I reapply it to keep that word, because it is an ancient word to be restored to us. So the crown roundabout was mentioned in the first time they were told to build it. That word is kaporta.
How you spell that? C-A-K?
No.
K-A? Kaporta.
I think that's it. I don't want to spell it wrong.
Yes, sir.
And then somebody don't see it. There it is in Exodus 25:16, Kaportha, kaporta.
Kaporta.
So you see, we read this in 25:17. I committed to memory, right? And I continuously use it, right? And there's another word here in the same verse, the pushika.
Pushika.
The hand breath. Okay. Now, where were we? I got to go back to
verse 2. We just finished reading of 37.
I got to get back. And for those of you wondering, I have this book on Kindle, and she has the book in print. It's just easier for me to navigate continuously, flying back and forth. If you can get the book in print, it is a valuable asset. But while you have it on the Kindle app, use it.
Yes.
Okay.
Kaporta. Kaporta.
See, because you're gonna have to learn long memory, right? Holding a context from a previous point later. This is great if you have like ADHD, where you have long memory, but problems with things you just kind of read immediately. Because the more you do it regularly on a daily basis, it connects back later. And then you have a string of information that you can recall. And this is useful information instead of it being useless information.
Right.
right? Like how to make strawberry cookies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What the?
Okay. And a cubit and a half its height. Okay, so he made the ark of cedar wood. Verse number 2, and he covered it with pure gold within and without, and made for it a crown of gold, the caporta, round about, and he cast for it 4 golden rings upon the 4 corners, 2 rings upon one side and 2 rings upon the second side. And he made staves of it of cedar wood and covered them with gold. So the ark of the covenant is golden. Okay? It's not wood, it's not something else, it's gold.
Mm.
And he put staves into the rings upon the sides of the ark to carry the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half the length of a cubit, and a half its breadth. Its thickness was a span. And he made 2 cherubim of pure gold, may beat them on the 2 sides of the mercy seat, 1 cherubah on this side and 1 cherubah on that side, of beaten work, and the cherubim were face to face.
Mm.
They were not separated from the mercy seat, but by the wisdom of the spirit of prophecy, he made the cherubim on its 2 sides. And the cherubiah spread forth their wings with their heads upward.
Not down.
They're not down. So they're standing, right, with their heads upwards. They're not kneeling or bowing down.
Wow.
Their heads are upwards, overshadowing the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces toward each other. Over against the mercy seat were their faces of the cherubiah. There's the actual word cherubiah, so you could see where I'm getting it from. And he made the table of cedar wood, 2 cubits its length, and a cubit its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height. And he covered it with pure gold and made for it a golden crown, there's the caporta again, round about. And he made a border for it, its height, a span round about. He made a crown of gold for the border round about. And he cast for it 4 golden rings and set the golden rings upon the 4 corners of its 4 feet. Over against the border, there were the rings, the place for the staves in carrying the table. And he made the staves of cedar wood and covered them with gold for the carrying the table. And he made the vessels to be upon the table, its dishes, its bowls, its measures, its cups, for the lavings of pure gold. And he made the candelabrum of pure gold. Beaten he made the candelabrum, its base and its shaft, its cups, its apples, and its lilies were of the same. And 6 branches came forth from its sides, 3 branches of the candelabrum on one side, and 3 branches of the candelabrum on the second side. 3 embossed cups with their figurations on one branch, with the apple and lily, and 3 embossed cups with their figurations on the other branch, with the apple and the lily. So the 6 branches which proceed from the candelabrum, upon the candelabrum, 4 embossed cups with the figurations of apples and lilies. And an apple was under two branches of the same, and an apple was under two branches of the same, and an apple under two branches of the same, for the 6 branches that proceeded from it. Their apples and their branches were of the same, all of it one beaten work of pure gold.
Mm.
And the talent of pure gold he made it, and all its vessels.
Wow.
So,
Such detail.
highly detailed.
Mm.
And the apple, if you've never seen it, you can go and you can Google it in Rome and you can see the cups. However, they don't look like your cups, right? We have small cups here, right? We have some small cups and we use them to drink little shots of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And these are traditional cups. They've been using them for thousands and thousands of years. So they're cups. They'll put 4 cups and you see the cups. And then you see like what they call an apple and a lily. A lily is a flower. So it's an opening, an apple, so that when they pour the oil in, it fills the apple section, which works like a bowl, and the lily part, so that the flame comes up and it's to illuminate the area. Okay? And he made the altar of incense of cedar wood, a cubit its length and a cubit its breadth, 4 square, and 2 cubits was its height. Its 2 upright horns were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, its top and its sides round about, and its horns, and he made for it a golden crown round about, another caporta. And 2 golden rings he made for it under its crown, and its 2 corners upon its 2 sides, to be placed on the staves by which to carry it. And the staves be made of cedar wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the sacred oil of the anointing, and the pure sweet incense, the work of the perfumer. And he made the altar of burnt offering of cedar wood, 5 cubits its length, and 5 cubits its breadth, 4 square, and 3 cubits its height. And he made horns upon its 4 corners, of the same were each horns, stretching upwards. And he covered it with brass, and he made all the vessels, the pots, and the cleaners, and all the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the pans, and all its vessels he made of brass. And he made the grate of the altar of a brazen network. So it's a mesh, it's the network, under the border beneath, reaching the middle of it, to receive the cinders and the bones that fell from the altar. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the grate of brass to be placed for the staves. And he made the staves of cedar wood, and he coated them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings and the sides of the altar to carry them, hollow with boards, and filled with earth he made it. So it's hollow inside, and they put dirt inside. Then they put the grate inside so that they could cook. And if the bones fall down and the ashes fall down, it's fine. But when they move it, they could just cover it over with the dirt.
A grill.
Yeah, it's a grill.
Yeah, this sounds like a kitchen being made.
It's the kitchen. And they're thinking about cleanliness, and they're thinking about, the tidiness. And this is what they're thinking about. These are concerns. The Most High likes everything to be clean.
Yes.
So you can't have rotting and stuff, blood everywhere. It's a very meticulous process to be clean.
Right. It's not a slaughterhouse.
It's not a slaughterhouse at all. As a matter of fact, you'll see, they don't really use slaughterhouses. Right? They're dressing these animals, cleaning them, washing them, and everything the blood is just getting covered over with dirt. No, we're not having a big mess. It's not a bloody massacre. You see these images on YouTube, and these white people, they got blood everywhere.
Because that's their personality.
This is not the instructions.
Correct.
And he put the state and it was hollow on earth. He made it. Okay. And he made the brazen laver and its foundations of brass from the brazen mirrors of the pious women. So they used to use brass mirrors in Egypt, and they left with brass mirrors. Oh, the archaeologists didn't tell you about that? So they used brass mirrors. And so they took these brass mirrors and then they made the brazen layer, who at the same reason came to pray at the door of the tabernacle of appointment, standing with their oblation, giving thanks and confession, and returning to their husbands, the mothers of righteous children, who had been purified from the uncleanness of their blood. And he made the court on the southern side of the curtains of the tabernacle made he with fine linen 100 cubits, and their pillars 20, and their bases 20. Now I'm going to talk about this right here. So we're here in Exodus, and these pious women that want to come and serve the Most High, they have to give an offering of 2 pigeons just for the time of the month.
Yes.
Right? It's for the time of the month. One pigeon is for a burnt offering. The other pigeon is for an oblation. Okay? So one is made into a stew and the other one is made into barbecue. And it's either 2 young pigeons or 2 turtle doves. The red ones, not the white ones. But the white ones are legal, but we have red ones that are indigenous here. And this is their giving, and they're happy to go, and they come with these 2 pigeons. So somebody's keeping pigeons. You see, somebody has to keep pigeons for that to be available. Now you have to make an exchange if you have one thing or another, but you can exchange anything, fruit, vegetables, for 2 pigeons real quick, just so you can go make this if you don't have pigeons yourself.
Yes.
Not that pigeons are difficult to keep.
Right.
And he made the court on the southern side, and the curtains of the court made with fine linen, 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their bases 20 of brass. And the hooks of the pillars and their rods were of silver. And on the north side, 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their bases 20 of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their rods were of silver. And the curtains of the western side was 50 cubits, and their pillars 10, and their bases 10, and the hooks of the pillars and their rods were of silver. And on the east side, eastward, 50 cubits. And the curtains were 15 on a side, and their pillars 3, and their bases 3. And for the second side of the door of the court, here and there, at the gate of the court, curtains 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their bases 3. And all the curtains of the court round about were of fine linen twine, and the bases of the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their rods of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals silver, and the rods of silver. So were made all the pillars of the court. And the hangings of the gate of the court was made of embroidered work in hyacinth, purple, and crimson, and fine linen twine. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height of its breadth 5 cubits, corresponding with the curtains of the court. So, all of this, dealing with this court, as you can see, we have silver, you have gold, you have brass. The people gave enough for all of it. And they're also, the people are not only proud of what they have built unto the name of the Most High, but they're also protective of it. You see, they have to protect this as well, right? It's not, you can't just get to it. They're not letting anybody just waltz up. It's not a free for all. So there is order, right? And they are protective of this. You become protective of something when you have built it, when you have worked hard and dedicated time and service to this. Okay. And their pillars 4 and their bases 4 of brass, and their hooks silver, and the overlays of their capitals, and their rods silver. But all the pins of the tabernacle of the court round about were of brass, and their sum and weights, and of the tabernacle of the testimony, which were counted by the word of the mouth of Moshe. But the service of the Levites was by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest. All right, I'm going to come back and we're going to close this out. Okay, so now we are looking at the service of the Levites. So, as you can clearly see, when the Most High talks about the high priesthood, there is a family organization. There is a bloodline thing. So Ithamar at this time is in charge of ordering the service of the Levites and keeping them in order. He's overseeing it. Aaron is doing something. Ithamar is doing something. Okay?
Excuse me. 22.
Ithamar, the priest, and Bezaleel, Bar Uri, Bar Hura, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Yah had commanded Moshe. So everybody is accepting the instructions from Moshe, and the proof that Moshe is obedient to the word of the Most High is success. Right? Now, in between this, there is faith. All right? So the faith comes, okay, we have instructions. I can read the details. All right, I'm going to give you what you need. Make what you say we're going to make, and we receive what you say we're going to receive. Once it's completed, okay, this is the proof. It's not before, it's not in the middle. It's about the completed work. Okay, verse 23, and with him Ahiliab bar Akisamak of the tribe of Dan, a worker in wood, and an artificer, and an embroiderer in hyacinth, and in purple, and in crimson, and in fine linen, all the gold that was used in the making of the whole work of the sanctuary, the safe place. So he worked in gold with everyone. Right? They said the entirety of the sanctuary is the gathering of all the people. The sanctuary is the place of gathering of all the people. And it was the amount of the gold of the oblation was 29 talents and 739 shekels. 730 shekels in the shekel of the sanctuary. This was the gold of the oblation, which every man of the sons of Israel, whose heart was willing, had offered as a separation. Now, this separation does two things. This separation separates you from the other people. It's not just I'm separating this to give to the Most High. No, it's to separate. You're giving this to build this from yourself, and it separates you from the other nations.
Wow.
No. No other nation has this instruction. No other nation has done this. And everyone knows that this is the work of the true God. However, until you give to this, to rebuild this, you have not taken of the separation. And you cannot give to the tabernacle until you yourself have become established as the people, a self-sustaining nation. So now that we don't have a self-sustaining nation, we must start by building self-sustainable communities away from the land of our captivity and work the work of repentance to rebuild.
Yeah, because at that time when they came out, they wasn't the only ones that came out. There was a mixed multitude. So it's letting you know here that it was just the sons, every man of the sons of Israel. All of them,
Right.
what separated them
Just
from the
because they
mix.
came out at that time a mixed multitude, that does not mean that it's applicable at this time.
Right.
We must separate ourselves from the other nations. So the same way Joseph put all the Egyptians out the room when it was time for him to address his brothers, this is what we have to do now. We have to put everybody out of our business and establish something for ourselves, for our separation. Once it is established, they can come in and work. They can come in and provide for themselves and their families, because that's still going towards the helping and the building of the kingdom, right? They can't own no share. So I can't go to the bank and take out a loan. I cannot make agreements with people who wish to own the community or some lion's share. No, this is of the people, for the people, according to the word of Yah. So yes, we're building it for you to live in. We're going to be expanding it. We're going to constantly be reinvesting to expand our community because this is what the instructions called for. But it's not about a rich person to do this, and then they're always siphoning the wealth out to themselves.
We have to come to a place to accept the fact we are not equal to the other nations.
No, you're not. You're never equal, because every other nation, I mean, even if you're a third world country, you're better off than black people, because black people have nothing. Okay? People from Africa, while they can, if they're from my people, they still have no nation. They're just among like colored people. But they're facing the same issues, they're facing the same problems. So you have to be able to we have to come together to build this. Now, nobody wants to walk the walk, so I walked it. Now I could talk the talk, having completed the first initial process, and say, this works, it's successful, we can now build this together. We can repair the breach and build in and amongst our brethren. So the separation, it separates the people of the Most High from the other nation, because they are building this. It's not everybody building this.
Yes.
This is just
Us.
So the Most High is making a distinguishment.
Yes, he is.
So I'm not asking other nations. I'm asking the sons of Jacob, the sons of Israel. I'm talking to the daughters of Israel. I'm not talking to everybody. So whether we do or whether we don't, it's up to the Most High to touch your hearts. And since he said those who are wise of heart will, and those who are not won't, well, that's fine. I can accept that. Okay? And the silver of them were numbered of the sons of Israel, who gave of the sons of Israel, who gave. The
Yes.
silver of the sons of Israel who gave at that time, when Moshe numbered them, everyone for the redemption of his soul was 100 talents and 1,750 and 5 shekels of the shekel of the sanctuary. Right? A drachma for each head, a half a shekel of the sanctuary. So now you can look. I'm going to go back, right? And I'm going to look for a drachma. A drachma is 5 grams, or 4.5 grams.
90% silver.
So a drachma is 4.5 grams of silver. That's half a shekel.
And 20 coins containing 5.8 grams of gold. Wow.
So that's what a drachma is. This is the weight. We're talking about between 4 and 5 grams. All right. So when I said earlier, it's 5 grams, nice round number. All right. As I was correct, that a half a shekel is 5 grams. A whole shekel is 10 grams. A drachma. So the conversion is done. Detail in the book. For every person who passed to the numberment from 20 years upwards for 630,550 men.
That's a lot.
All right. That's at this time, and they were able to do this at this time. Over 600,000 just of the men of Israel, 20 and upwards. We're not counting under 19. So it's 19 and up.
Yes.
So 18-year-olds, we didn't count, and down.
Right. And not the women included in that. This is just men.
Just men. And with the 1,720 and 5 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars and overlaid their capitals and their rods. And the brass was of 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And he made with it the brass of the gate of the tabernacles of ordinance and the brazen altar and the brazen gate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the bases of the courtyard round about, and all the bases of the gate of the court, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Now, all of this silver and gold talk, and I have a link. If you go to my link in the description, I got one link down there. I think maybe 2. One is to music. But if you go to my description and you just check out my link, I am telling you, just with just the simplest of words, you can buy silver and gold and brass very cheaply. Okay? There's a link in the description. You can buy it. You can send it. You can mail it to us, right? We get mail here. Send it FedEx. You can mail it right to us.
Yes.
And we will receive it. And we will build with it. Now, before we can build any tabernacle, we have to establish and gather the people, right? We have to issue the laws. We have to be living with them. We have to be governed by them before we can build anything for the Most High. So this is the wrong of every religion, the wrong of every religion that we as a people are in. Because the way our law is given to us, we must establish and build something for the people, and the people combine together in a combined work to build and give to the building of the tabernacle of the Most High. So at this time, everybody had tents. They had tents and wagons, and, they were able to migrate. They had prepared for migration into the desert, right?
Right.
So the people had everything they need. They had sheep, they had gold, they had plates and spoons and knives and forks and pots and pans. They had everything when they left. When they left, they left.
Yes, they did.
They had fabric, they had everything. Because the Most High told them to gather those things when they left. We're telling you the same thing. Yeah, get them silk fabrics and get them red and gold, and get the linen, fine linen. Get that Egyptian cotton. Take curtains. Take whatever. Sure, take it and bring it with you. We're gonna do the same thing, but we have to start from a lower position. Right?
Right.
Now, is the Most High going to trouble the world? Absolutely. In the midst of the trouble, we have to be getting ourselves together. We have to be building, because when you get here, you gonna want to be in a building. I promise, you're gonna want to be in an apartment. You don't know how to live in the wilderness. You don't have that.
Yeah. And so many people are prepping for wilderness living.
Well, you can prep for wilderness living. The Most High says, I'm gonna scatter you into the wilderness, step one. And then I'm gonna gather you out. So now I want those people who wise in heart. Let them go to the wilderness. When they see that the wilderness is not the move, and that there's going to be a problem, and they'll be driven out of those wildernesses by famine, by war, and by whatever else they have to go through. Well, then they're gonna now work their way country to country, believing whichever country they need to go to until they get pushed out, until they make their way here. When they get here, the people who are wise will be here already. We will have been building. So we will be constantly receiving and processing new people, constantly gathering, because it's going to take 40 plus years. I'm telling you, it's going to take 40 years, right? But in that 40-year process, we will have grown to become a great and mighty nation. Great and mighty.
Oh, yes.
But it starts today. So we get the first one, and then we repeat the cycle until we've gotten everything that we used to have back. The borders are not what you think they are. We'll get to borders when it talks about borders.
Right.
We'll get to land when it talks about land. We'll get there. But believe me when I tell you, it's not what you think it is. If you have a King James, the hardest part is going to be getting that from your mind. As a matter of fact, it's going to take you 3 months to cry over your idol. Your graven images, your false beliefs, it takes you 3 months to mourn for those. And there's nothing I can do about that. So if you hear me today, the words I'm saying to you, it takes 3 months for you to see that what I'm saying is true. For you to accept it and move upon it. Your time, not mine.
Oh, yes.
All right. We're going to stop today at this point. Where are we at? 38 and 30?
38:31 we just completed.
Okay, so we start at 38:31 and we'll go to 39 tomorrow. I'll see you all tomorrow. We're going to continue. It'll close out tomorrow with the rest of everything that they built and gave and what they did with it. And there's a reason why it's telling you this, like it's dictating to you that there is a guaranteed success in doing it this way with these processes. Well, we're going to do that. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, we're doing the same thing. We're starting from a lower position, but the process is the same.
Yes.
So now the Most High, instead of bringing out a mixed multitude and purging them, he's purging you in the eyes of the nation. He's separating you in the nation that you're in. And that starts right now, today, right? We're separating you. We're sorting you. We're sifting you. Now, I promise you at the end, those who gave and those who were true of heart will be here, and they will be perfectly well to do, and they will be amazed at everybody who falls at the wayside. If the ones who say good things and then do evil or have evil in their heart, watch how this sifts them. And I promise you, this sifting will be like sifting fine flour. There will be no way for them to get past. So you can give, have a wicked heart, fall by the wayside. We will know, it will come out. Right? You can tell when giving is not done in earnest because people look for return on investment. This is not an investment like that. This is really a gift to build for the community, and then the community is sustaining us separate from the world. This is what an autonomous community is.
Right.
So the giving is for the separation. What is it separating? You from the rest of the world. We must separate. You can't bring them with us. We have to get this established. And then they say, come, let us go unto the mountain of the Most High and pray with them.
Yes.
It says to pray with us. So we're not involved in the law. We're just growing. We're not involved in the war. We're just growing peacefully. We're growing food at a time when they're shutting down farms. We're growing food using organic practices, right? We got cows and donkeys and horses. We're going to be putting that manure right back into the soil and turning it over, putting our hands to the plow. We're going to be doing this, and we're going to be using what we have to regenerate. So when we have a year, we just let all the fruit fall to the ground, and it just super saturates the soil, and the soil
make it rich.
Gets all rich and black. They'll be like, hey man, this used to be a desert. How'd you get the soil so good? We have a law. We have an instruction to make it better than it is now. It's only a desert because we ain't taking care of it.
And we've been put out.
And you got put out because you wanted to see what the rest of the world was about, which is a sin, by the way.
Yes, it is.
That's our time for today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. One step, one step.
One.